everybody, and welcome back to another great episode of We Speak Dispatch. Because if we're speaking dispatch, we're speaking it right to you. Hello, we're speaking it to you right there. No, not behind you. You. We're speaking it right to you out there. So it's important to have that. So today's a special episode because today is the first part of Shark Week on Discovery Channel. So it's like, if you know anything about Shark Week, it's great. The whole week talks about sharks and how scary they can be, and just it's a great week of stuff. And in fact, where I live here in Middle Tennessee, there's a blimp flying around that looks like a shark. So it's pretty
really
cool kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's advertising Shark Week. It's kind of cool.
That's hilarious. I love that.
So we're going to talk about some stuff involving sharks because it is kind of a thing. But before we get started, let me introduce everybody here. So we've got Leslie over there. Leslie, how are you today?
I'm in Southern California, and I will be keeping an eye out for the sharks next time I go to the beach.
Yes. And Joe, how goes Iowa? Is there any sharks there?
No, there are no sharks in Iowa. But one thing I'm really interested about is what channel Shark Week is on, so I can watch it.
Discovery Channel. And Jill, where you at? What's going on over there?
I am in our outdoor location, and I think I'm going to get blown out by the sun because it's kind of bright behind me right now.
I see it back there. Well, that's good. That's still the sun.
So
It's not snowing,
hopefully get
not
this done
raining.
before the sun goes.
We're okay. And having lived very close to the beach most of my career, that I will tell you that we had frequent shark warnings put up around our town. We lived in the city of Morro Bay, and they used to put up paper signs that said shark warning, sharks have been seen in the area on these dates, so be careful. They replaced all those paper signs with metal signs because it was just happening so frequently. Morro Bay, if you know anything about the Discovery Channel, and Joe, please watch it. You'll see that they call it the Red Triangle, which is from San Francisco down to like Morro Bay and then out to Catalina Island and back. That's the triangle where these big great whites hang out. And when I was at work one time, we got a phone call from the Coast Guard who's in Morro Bay Harbor. And they said, hey, just to let you guys know, there's a huge great white just came into the harbor. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like looking around, are we supposed to do something with this? I don't know. And they're like, no, we're just letting you know. And I'm like, okay, you're the Coast Guard. You should probably
Yeah.
People were flipping out because they came in because the harbor is full of those little otters that like to sit on their back and eat their food and stuff like that. And the sharks were enjoying those. So, so anyway, so let's talk about sharks in the workplace because that's kind of our topic today. So not just necessarily Jaws, but let's see what we got out there. So who wants to go first and talk a little bit about sharks in the workplace?
When we talked about this topic, we talked kind of about welcoming a new person in and how much we welcome a new person, and do we kind of attack them? And when I look at it along those lines, staffing and retention is kind of an issue. I'm proud to say where I work, we do treat the new hires pretty well. But one of the things that we did have to change that I think was a great change for getting people through the training program is I identified their training team up front. So when I met with the person that was hired on day one, I said, this is going to be your initial trainer. When you switch to the other shift, this is who you're going to train with. It wasn't something we were thinking of along the way. And then I empowered that training team. And then one of the other things for new people, and specifically was mentioned on this, we're going to try and stump somebody here, but we've done that in the past. But Leslie or Glenna said something that they did with new hires that I thought was excellent in involving other people. And we'll have Leslie kind of touch on that real quick again.
He loves to put people on the spot, man.
Please don't say me. Well, and I hope that this is what you're talking about. And if it's not, it is something that we do, is we would have our trainees sit with obviously their trainer in dispatch, but then they would also go out and do sit-alongs in different units because where I work at a police department, it helps, especially the new people who don't have any experience in public safety, to start to understand where they fit in the puzzle. So we would have them go and sit with the records department for a while, and we'd have them sit with the traffic unit and the detective bureau. So they could kind of start to see, okay, the call for service may start with me in dispatch, but I'm going to follow the case along, and this is where it goes. And we also, through this process, created a scavenger hunt. So it forced them to look for certain things in the police department and go and ask certain people about, you know, an answer to this question. So it forced them to get out of their comfort zone, to make contact with somebody else and have that person give them some insight. Because I think most of us can agree, sitting in the dispatch center sometimes can be a little bit isolating.
Yeah.
So by pushing them out and getting them to go and talk to other people, that has really helped. Was that what you were talking about, Joe?
No,
We are officially over too. I'm gonna get better at this.
Oh my God.
At some point, I'm gonna get better at this. But I was talking about that family program where you had the new hires family come in. I'll let you elaborate on that. So we're officially over. I should have asked the question better. Leslie, I don't want to steal your thunder. So yeah, talk about that family connection. How you're getting the new hires family involved.
Wow.
Okay. So, and this is not, I know, this is not from my agency. I actually came across this idea in one of the classes that I taught, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Whenever we hire a new dispatcher, we have a couple different things. And I hope I hit on the right things. One is we've got a program called Family Matters, which is where we bring in, yay, I'm getting the yes, where we bring in not just the new dispatcher, but the dispatcher's family and whoever is close to them, friends, whoever. And they get to come in and see the center. We issue them the book of Emotional Survival for Law Enforcement by Kevin Gilmartin. And we just give them an opportunity to see where their loved one is going to be spending so much of their time. So when that trainee goes home and, you know, is trying to express how frustrated they are or whatever happened, that the person who they're talking to says, oh, I remember, I've been in that room, I've seen that seat, I know, you know, I can kind of picture what you're going through. And it also gets the family member on board with what they can expect, because we talk about, you know, eating our young trainees in dispatch. That transition from normal person to a dispatcher, and we all know that ship has sailed for all of us. You can't even see it on the horizon. But that family members at home are going to be looking at their loved one and thinking, what happened to my sweet little angel? Because we changed over time, right? And so it gives them an opportunity to expect that, and then we give them contact information so they can contact us at any time. So
I love that.
That's
the answer to the question.
Yay! And probably so much more information than you actually needed.
That was great.
I'm gonna stop talking.
You know what? I don't do this, but I found this at an agency I went and taught a class at last year, and they showed it to me, and I was like, that's a great idea. I wish I was still at work. I would probably initiate this. They issued every new person that comes to that door this booklet that they made up, and it had everybody's picture in it that you're going to work with, and talked about their family and what they like to do and just kind of a little bio on them. And I was like, oh my God, and they're like, this is the way they know everybody. And we can ask them like, who's this? They know who it is. And I'm like, that is so cool. And I know another agency that was doing this. They made like Monopoly pieces, and they had it on there, instead of just having a picture board with everybody's picture on it, it had Monopoly pieces, and it looked like that. And then it had like a little description of who this person is, where they work, how long they've been on the job. So when you're walking in the hallway, you can kind of see these things and kind of get an idea. And I thought that was great ideas to have that kind of stuff. So that to me is good.
Do you remember, Doug, was anybody depicted like as Mediterranean Avenue versus Boardwalk or whatever? I mean, where did you decide where to put each person?
I'm trying to think how they had it, because it was a Monopoly board, and they just had everybody's pictures around it, but I don't remember.
That's cool.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
and I'm not in California anymore, so I can't go back to that agency and ask them how they did it, but it was a very cool thing. And I remember taking pictures of it going, this is something that we might want to do, but I never did initiate that. So, but it is important to make sure that person on day one, hour one, they feel like they're part of this thing. And that's why we did that cupcake thing. We do the pictures thing. I want that person to feel right away that they're part of us. They're part of this, you know, school of fish that we have in there, that everybody's part of these things.
When I worked at my old agency, we never did anything for new hires. And after leaving and hearing all these ideas, I feel really bad that we never made the new people feel welcome, because it is a hard job. And you're coming into an environment where these people work together 12, 16 hours a day, and you're kind of penetrating that inner circle. So they already feel on the outside. And then you just kind of dump them into a comm center where they don't know anybody. So I wish we'd have done something, but now being in my new career, I try to do cupcakes and decorate and stuff like that for new people, even if it's just a little something, just to make them feel welcome and let them know, hey, we know you're new, you're here, come join us. And
I think since all of us were new at one time or another, I try to always remind people in classes, think back how long it took you to get hired. Think about when they called you and said, you can come for an interview, and how nervous you were. And oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to say, and all these things. You know, I try to remind people of that's where you used to be. You used to be so excited about when they called you and said, you're hired. And then you called your family and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to work at this agency. And we forgot this kind of stuff. And that was the favorite part of my job, was when I called somebody and said, hey, it's Doug at work. You're hired. You're starting Monday. And people were so excited. I had one lady screaming on the phone. I'm like, hello? And she's like, I'm just so happy. I'm like, well, we'll take care of that. But yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
But I think, Joe, that's where you're kind of leading this conversation is, at what point, because I think we can all agree, we were all there. We were all excited, and we can see it in our trainees. They come in and they're super excited and they can't wait. And then, you know, fast forward a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, and suddenly they're deviating from the path, or they're not even there anymore. Yeah. And I think that goes back to what Joe's talking about, is we eat our young. We are not making the environment conducive to success because of the toxicity in the room. So
and I just want to say, it only takes one person. If you want to be that person to make the cupcakes, make the cupcakes. If you want to be that person to welcome the new people, do it. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. You sometimes have to just take it on yourself, and people will either follow and enjoy it, or they'll get out of the way.
And I think, Jill, at your past agency, maybe I'm wrong, I know Leslie, where you used to work, uniforms were part of your guys's dispatch center. So my question, when welcoming a new person, how quickly do you get them in a uniform? After they're off probation, day one?
Day one.
Day one. Okay, good.
Day one.
Day one.
That's like
day one.
Back then they had a Thursday you went to the county offices to do your paperwork. Friday you went to your whatever county office you were going to, and then that following week you would get your ID card, your uniforms, and everything else you needed during that week, and then you'd have training. It was immediate. So you're day one, you're walking in on the comm center floor in your uniform.
Yeah. And feeling part of the team that way.
That's so important.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I taught at an agency, a really large agency, that they kept telling me, oh, we're having all these problems. We can't keep anybody. We can't keep anybody. And I'm like, and they said, I only want our people in the CTO class. And I'm like, okay. So I get there and I asked them that very question that Joe just asked. How soon do they get this cool polo shirt that you guys have that says the agency, a big star on the thing? They said, they got to wait a year to get it. And I'm like, a year? And I'm like, what about lockers? Do you guys got nice lockers? Do they get a locker? Nope. They got to carry their stuff. And I'm like, what's the message you're already sending to this person? You're not part of us. You're over there.
Right.
It's like,
right.
The director was asking me, like, I'm just confused why we can't keep anybody. Mystery solved. I'm like,
right. And to what Jill was saying, where they're already coming into an environment where they're an outsider.
Yeah.
But and Doug, to your point, the message by me not giving you a uniform is
you're not gonna make it.
You're not gonna make it.
Yeah.
You're not worth it. And there is nothing more demoralizing than walking into an environment where the people who are supposed to be encouraging you to succeed won't even give you a uniform and allow you to be part of the team. And that's something that's so simple. That doesn't need to be a change in anybody's personality or moral values or anything like that, or no, training sucked for me, so it's going to suck for you. No, it's you're a part of our team on the first day.
Yeah.
So you're going to look like everybody does.
My thing is, you made it through all of this stuff, psychological backgrounds, investing, all these things, and you're still not part of us. I mean, I just hate that image that we give people like that. So it's kind of like with Shark Week, because great whites are solitary animals. They don't have families or whatever. They kind of take off as soon as they get them. And that's what a lot of people in dispatch centers act like. They want to be this solitary. I don't want anything. Forget it. I'm bitter. I'm angry. And it's like, be part of the school. Be part of the school of fish over here that's doing these things. Don't be crazy like that. So, all right. So how about a final thought from everybody about this kind of thing out there? So what's your final thought? Joe, what do you got?
My final thought, that's putting me right on the spot, but I'm usually the one doing that. So
that's why I did it.
Fair play, absolutely. Is be like Doug said, be a part of the team. Don't be that great white shark that just goes up and eats your people, because you need other people around you in order to survive in this job. So your job is to make another person successful, not make them unsuccessful. If you treat them like they're supposed to be treated and set them up for success, they'll have a much better chance of making it. If you treat them like they're going to be unsuccessful, that's probably what your rate of retention will be, is unsuccessful.
There you go. Jill, what's your final thought for today?
I think mine would be, I see so many Facebook people posting about how the new people are coming in, there's overtime, you can't take off for vacation, you're working every holiday, whatever it is, these new people help alleviate all that. Yeah. So when you're bringing in new people and you're not welcoming them or making them
easy for you to say,
holy crap, yeah, or trying to help them be better in their job, you're only making your job more difficult. Yeah. So you really need to invest in them and know that, hey, they're going to help out with the overtime. They're going to help out with the vacation. They're going to help out with everything that you're currently complaining about.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Leslie, final thought.
Final thought is just, it's so difficult to recruit people. This is such a difficult job to begin with. We don't need to make it any more difficult. There have been so many studies that have shown that your brain, when it's happy or positive, works better than when it's negative, neutral, or stressed. Yeah. So we don't need to add more stress to the training program. We want these people to succeed. We want them to be the solutions to all these issues. Where we can make it positive, let's make it positive.
Yeah. And it just seems like a simple thing to be decent to people and make them feel part of the thing. Some people make it very difficult. I always try to remind people, what's the cost of doing business? I mean, if you calculate the cost of hiring somebody, putting them through training, and then they take off and they quit on you, you've just invested all this money that's gone. And it's like, our budgets are not limited to, they're unlimited. Our budgets are limited. We have to think about the cost of doing business. So that's our Shark Week presentation. So join us on Shark Week for Discovery Channel. We'll be out there. We should be sponsored by them, for God's sakes. We're giving them boosts out there. So if you live near the ocean or any kind of sea out there, be careful of the sharks. If you work in a comm center, also be careful of the sharks.
Careful of the sharks.
Other than that, everybody have a great
Don't be a shark.
Don't be a shark.
Don't be a shark.
New people are friends, not enemies or
food. Yes. Trainees are friends, not food.
That's right. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming. Let's see you next time. Thanks.
Hey, it's Michelle, and you've been listening to another great episode of We Speak Dispatch, proudly sponsored by our friends at Zybex.